You do the same thing you would anywhere. Keep the peace, protect people, and handle the bad guys. Sometimes the bad guys have magic, fur, or fangs." He chuckled, clearly amused by that. Jody was having trouble finding similar amusement. "I have a feeling my Smith & Wesson isn't going to be much help against people like that, so how am I supposed to make sure they follow the rules if they don't feel like doing it?" He smiled. "The magic's in you now, Jody." He stood up from where he'd been leaning against her desk. That reminds me." He trailed off as he walked to the bookshelf behind her, turning where she couldn't see him for a minute. When he turned back to her, he held an old, thick book in his hands. "You're going to need this. You have the magic, but you still have to learn how to use it. If you have any problem at all with it, I'll refer you to Amara at the library." As he spoke, he put the book in front of her. Jody lifted it slightly, curious about the heft. It was certainly heavy, and when she skimmed a finger down the spine, it caused a shiver to go through her. It felt old and powerful, and she was disturbed that she could sense such things now. She looked up at the mare. "So, if I decide this isn't for me, I'd move away from Harrow Bay and forget all about the magical aspects in time?" He nodded. "If you ever returned, you'd remember them after staying more than a short time, but I don't think you're going to leave. You seem like you're made of strong stuff, Jody, and that's just what we need. I know our questions were tough on you, and we really dug into your background, but that was because we wanted to prepare for every contingency. We know this is a lot to take on, but we think you're up to the responsibility of the task." He patted her lightly on the shoulder as he took a step back. "I'll leave you to study and settle in. If you have any questions, you can call my secretary. Sasha will put you through if I'm at all available. Otherwise, you can always contact any of the city council people." He waved to an old-fashioned Rolodex on her desk. "They're all in there." Jody felt like she had a million questions, but it was obvious the mayor was done with his introductions, so she managed a verbal parting before he left, and she opened the book slowly. She earnestly tried to read it, and while it all made sense in an abstract way, she wasn't certain how to put it all together. There were steps for creating spells, instruction on how to channel her magic, and other tidbits that she imagined to be of use if she decided to stay in her position and train to reach her full potential. At the moment, she wasn't certain she was up for that as she stood up. She needed to escape, though she did take the book with her. She was almost surprised when neither of the deputies nor the receptionist tried to stop her as she left in a hurry. But they probably knew everything she had just learned, and they likely realized she required time to absorb it before she could make a long-term decision. Besides, she needed to discuss this with Willa and Isabel as well. She wasn't the only one affected by living in a magical town.